So today we are starting with the topic genetics part 2. Subscribe my channel Preji's Biology class for all. Here we are dealing with a sex determination. How we can sex determine either the son or the daughter. As you are knowing, it depends upon the kind of the sperm that fertilizes the egg. And the egg either contains one X chromosome and the sperm may contain either X or Y chromosome. So, who determines the sex? The sex is determined by the father. Why? Because he is only having an X chromosome and a Y chromosome. If the egg is fused by egg-bearing sperm, then it results in formation of a female. And if the egg is fused by the Y-bearing sperm, then the result is XY, that is a male. As you can see in the figure, mother cell contains only X chromosome, but the father cell contains either X or Y chromosome. So if mother's X chromosome crosses with the father's X chromosome, then the child will be a girl. And if mother's X chromosome fuses with the father's Y chromosome, that means a sperm containing Y chromosome, then the sex of the child will be male, that is a boy. So who determines the sex? The sex is determined by the father. That means the father's sperm cell either contain X or Y chromosome, so it determines the sex. Then there are certain few questions related with the topic. The number of chromosomes of autosomes in humans is 22. The number of pairs it is asked, so that you have to write only 22. Autosomes are 22 in number. And then the total number of pairs of chromosomes in each body cell is 23. Total number of chromosomes in each body cell. That means in one human cell only consisting of 23 chromosomes. Then what is meant by a genome? Genome is the full complement of DNA of an organism. It is complete DNA of an organism is called as a genome. And the term gene is coined by William Johansen. So question may be asked, who coined the term gene? The gene term was coined by William Johansen. Then what are alleles? Alleles are the alternative forms of a gene. Genes alternative forms, that means if capital T is there, that determines one character, that is tall, or one can roll a tongue, that is capital T. So these capital T are alternative forms of a gene. So these two type of cells, that means two type of capital T that are called as the alleles, occupying in the same position on a homologous chromosome. So according to this character only, or according to the alleles only, one character is determined. So it affects the same characteristic but in different ways. That means one can roll a tongue, then that human being contains capital T alleles in their homologous chromosomes. And if one cannot roll a tongue, they may contain a recessive allele, that is capital T, small capital T. So that's about some questions that may be asked for the board exams. Then what is meant by this dominant and recessive allele? Dominant means certain characters which is expressed, while recessive means certain characters which will not express. So what is dominant? Dominant is the character which is expressed itself, while recessive means certain characters are suppressed. As you are knowing in your family also, someone says that you are looking like your father, but certain characters are there in you that are recessive. That means certain characters are not resembling your father but may be resembling your mother's. So certain characters are dominant and certain characters are recessive. Then the genotypic organism. Genotype is expressed, that means not expressed. You may contain that but it will not express. But certain characters are expressed externally, they are called as phenotype. Then what is meant by genotype and phenotype? Certain genetic constitution in you. That means you are having both the characters, your father and mother, but you may have certain characters which is expressed of your either of your parents. That is phenotype. So certain characters are then there in you that is not expressed, may not be expressed, but it is genetic constitution, so it is called as genotype. Certain characters are expressed, that characters are called as what? Phenotype. Then what is meant by homozygous dominant, heterozygous dominant and homozygous recessive? While we are writing, if you are writing capital T, then it is called as homozygous dominant. Dominant always we are representing using capital letters, while recessive characters are expressed only by small characters or smaller alphabets. So homozygous dominant means capital T, while heterozygous dominant is capital T, and homozygous recessive means small t. The next topic is pedigree analysis. We can identify our certain characters using certain kind of figures. So these are called as a pedigree. So what is a pedigree? It is a chart for identifying the dominant and recessive characters. Here you can see one figure. That figure contains certain circles and squares, and these circles denotes females while squares denote males. Then a hollow symbol is there, means unexpressed characters are there that are represented as a hollow symbol. You can see that one colored circle is there, it is crossed with a square, and that is means one marriage is there, they are having certain children, so that it is expressed as squares and circles. And the colored circles, they are having certain kinds of characters in them that is transmitted from one generation to the next generation, that is shown in that figure. So sex-linked inheritance. Next one. Sex-linked inheritance means it is the appearance of a trait which is due to the presence of an allele exclusively either on the X chromosome or on the Y chromosome. I will explain you with an example. In your family or in human beings, you can see that some are, that means the males are only seen with the mustaches and beard. Mustaches and beard. Mustaches and beard are seen only in males, while in females that is not expressed. It shows that it is sex linked. That means males only having certain characters. You are knowing what is mustaches and beard. Mustaches means meesha, beard means tadi. Meeshayum tadiyum. Sex-linked inheritance, that means appearance of trait which is due to the presence of an allele exclusively either on the X chromosome or on the Y chromosome. So that certain characters are seen only in the males and certain characters are seen only in the females. These are called sex-linked. And sex-linked inheritance means it is transmitted from generation to generation. If clearly explaining X-linked inheritance is due to the X chromosome, Y-linked inheritance is due to Y chromosome. Mustaches and beard are Y-linked. Y-linked means it is seen only in males. X-linked means can be seen on both male and female. Why? Because XX chromosome is seen in female, while XY chromosome can be seen in male. One example I will tell you, hemophilia is one example. It is a genetic disorder. While the sufferer, that means whoever having that hemophilia will have such a condition that through a smaller injury, blood may be lost and may lead to death. While their blood doesn't contains any kind of serum doesn't contains any kind of a platelet count, or certain factors are in them lessened, so that they may not get a blood clot, and as due to that, through a minor wound or through a smaller injury, their blood may be lost a lot, and such a condition occurs in hemophilic persons. So homozygous recessive female and the X-bearing male are the sufferers. Homozygous recessive female means if the both the parents are having hemophilia, then the female child may get. You have to understand that homozygous recessive female means if both the parents, that means mother should be a hemophilic as well as the father is hemophilic, then only the female will get. Then if any of the parent is having such a disease, then only the male will be the sufferer. Please listen. Only the male will be the sufferer when either of the parent is there. So a homozygous recessive female will be the sufferer of hemophilia, and X-bearing male will be the sufferer of hemophilia. Next one is color blindness. Like the same case, color blindness means they can't able to distinguish the colors red, green, and both the primary colors red and green. They couldn't able to identify it clearly, so they will have a color blindness. Color couldn't able to distinguish in them. So that such a condition is also same as hemophilia. Here also only the homozygous female will be the sufferer. Who is a homozygous female? Homozygous female means both the parents having the condition, colorblind. If a colorblind mother and a colorblind father is there, then the female child will get. Either of the parent, that means only the mother is having or only the father is having, then the male will be the sufferer, not getting for the female. So today that's all. Thank you. Subscribe my channel, like, share and comment.